All right, everybody, welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It is September 17th, 2024. I'm Trey. That's Mark. How you doing there, Mark?
Good, buddy. I got a bully. Have I told you about this?
No, what? You got a bully in real
There's a
life?
guy. Yeah, there's a
Who the hell is
guy.
bullying you? You're all jacked
Uh,
and bald and stuff. This bully must be something else.
some lunatic lives in my apartment building who's apparently decided he hates me. It's a very one-sided rivalry, but he like screams at me about once a week in our apartment gym, and I'm like, I don't.
What?
Do I just go to the property manager and be like? Because I'm pretty sure I could take him. Because but
Screams
like
at
I
you
don't.
for what? Just like looking too good? You don't whistle in the gym or something, do you? Or like listen to your podcast out loud with no headphones on, something like that? I'm assuming not. Like,
No,
yeah.
he does that. He does that. The other day,
Maybe he's mad
like
at you for not doing that. He's like, we should
maybe
all do this.
the other day he was like, he'd usually raw dogs cardio, which is like the weirdest thing, like no earbuds, no
Hmm.
watching nothing on an iPad, nothing, and
Psychopath.
psychopath. And like the other day he was listening to a podcast about pancreatic cancer, like a boombox. And then like what he'll do is like one time he directly addressed me and yelled at me, but now what he does is like he doesn't look at me. He just like yells stuff when it's just me and him in there while not looking at me, like looking ahead. Like the other day he was like, "Stay in your lane, bro. You don't even understand the level of spiritual plane that I'm on." And I'm like,
Oh,
all right.
wow.
So do I go to the property manager and like narc on this guy like a fucking nerd? Or do I like fight him? I'm too old to get in fights, but I don't know what else to do at this point.
That's tough, dude. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure you could probably take him, but we're not teenagers anymore, and I understand that. But yeah, you're dealing with like a LA alpha male or something screaming in your face about spiritual planes and shit like that. Uh,
He literally does 4 hours at a time on the elliptical while pedaling slow as shit. It's weird. It's so fucking weird. I don't understand anything this guy's about.
have you been in there with
Anyway,
any other people? Do you think he screams at other people when they come in there? You know what
he
I mean?
doesn't do it to me when witnesses are in there. So he's not completely mentally ill.
Well, now I
So I
wonder if
don't.
he's doing it to other people when you're not in there. You know, maybe he
It's a
screams
good
at anybody
question.
that's in there by himself or by themselves. I mean, yeah, I
It's a
don't
good
know.
question.
Whoop his ass, Mark. That's what I say. I think all the fans
So
would agree. You know,
when I don't show up one Tuesday and it's apparent that I've been murdered, this guy definitely did it. So
yeah.
yeah. Before we get to the show, a couple fun sports-related intrigue stories. No sports here, but just dumb sports bullshit, sports-surrounded bullshit. So you know more about college football than me. Do you want to explain this Colorado Buffalo NIL Saudi Arabia scandal to the audience?
Well, I mean, all I know about it is there's a former staffer at Coach Prime, that's Deion Sanders, Coach Prime's Colorado Buffaloes program, who leaks have revealed he was trying to raise money for the program. It's in the era of NIL. You can pay players now, all this. Programs need money. And he had a
Mm-hmm.
bright idea. What he decided to do was he heard about Saudi Arabia sports washing everything. They're giving all this
Mm-hmm.
money to all these sports. He was like, we should get in on that. But he had no connections to Saudi Arabia. So he just went to Saudi Arabia's like tourism website and clicked on like the contact us link and sent an email to ask@visitsaudi.com and said, hey, I'm a coach with the University of Colorado, and we'd like to get in on this. We're looking for some funding in exchange for some promotion, and we think we can have a fruitful partnership between the Colorado Buffaloes and Saudi Arabia. And I don't
Yeah,
really know how that ended up going. I just know that
I,
he did that.
yeah, he got found out and got fired real quick because it made him look stupid. But like, I'm not sure why they even care. Like, everybody's such a whore in America right now that like, why is he even in trouble for sending an email to ask at visitSaudiArabia.com? But I don't know
Yeah.
how this went. But let's say it went straight to Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And they're like, let me read here from the email. Hello, my name is Trevor Riley. I'm a football coach for an American football team from the University of Colorado. I represent the interest of Coach Prime. And MBS is like, oh, Coach Prime. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
shit.
Why didn't you say so? Yeah.
Like, I grew up loving Deion Sanders, but
Right.
yeah. So we're looking for a partnership to deal to promote your country in exchange for some marketing money. Please reach out with any questions. My phone number is redacted. The figures in this pitch deck are for private business. So he's sent a private pitch deck to ask at Visit Saudi Arabia and asked them not to share it. I'm like, bro, you sent a pitch deck to MBS on what, like how to murder journalists and get away with it? What the fuck are you
Right.
doing?
I did wonder what they were going to do. Are they going to put like visitsaudi.com on like the bottom of the back of their helmets or something like that? Or like they got like, come to Riyadh, signs in the
Yeah.
Buffalo Stadium or something. I don't know, but like, I mean, Saudi Arabia, they are really into this whole sports washing thing. So,
Yeah.
and also they seem to just throw money around all over the place. So if you're
Mhm.
open to receiving it, I wouldn't be surprised if they
Oh, somebody's going to do
engage.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to do it. And Riley kind of said this in his resignation email where he went off on them. I went to Saudi Arabia and got a meeting with the Saudis who were interested in pursuing business. He wrote in his resignation email. I have email receipts to prove it, and you guys let it fall flat on its face. So he'll get hired by like Bama and be their Saudi
Yeah.
outreach guy.
Well, so, I mean, you're right. Some other program will do it if they don't have it in the works already, and then he'll be, this guy was a prophet. He's not,
Yeah.
he was ahead of the curve. Sometimes,
we'll,
hey, shoot your shot. Just throw it out there. Sometimes it works, I guess,
yeah,
or doesn't.
and
You
then
get fired, but
and some of the school will trick some of their co-eds into visiting Saudi Arabia for spring break, and they'll get human trafficked.
Mhm.
But we got some other another college football scandal here about some enterprising college kids who decided to cut out Saudi Arabia and their slave labor program and just do human trafficking themselves. Arizona Christian University, a small school in Glendale, Arizona, has had a bunch of kids get caught. Apparently, they've been providing like an Uber service to traffic migrants from the border to Phoenix for $1,000 a pop. And they keep getting arrested and then let go and nothing happens to them.
I kind of don't understand why you can't just get an Uber if it costs $1,000 because they're past the border already, right?
Right.
They've already made it over the border. They're just in some other American city coming to Phoenix. I mean, how much is a cab going to cost from down there to Phoenix? What, $200-$300? I don't know. Maybe $500 in Joe Biden's economy. But either way, I don't really understand the necessity of this. I get why it's not cool, but I feel like taxi drivers, they don't ever ask shit. They just show up and take you wherever. I don't get why you need to do this with
Right. And
Christian collegiate football players.
And the government's saying that like the reason people are getting prosecuted is like hard, like the system's overwhelmed. It's hard to make cases because, of course, they'd immediately deport all the witnesses, right? So so these two guys that got caught most recently, the last names was Semelu and Faulo. They borrowed a friend's car to do this, and the car got impounded, which is just hilarious to me. It's like, because I used to loan people because like not everybody at college has a car, and I had an old truck, and I would loan it to people to go make beer runs and stuff. And I was thinking like, it's like, hey, can we borrow your car, bro, to get some beers and girls? And then they call a couple hours later from jail. It's like, sorry, bro, your car's in car jail because we work for El Chapo.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I know how this is going to sound, but we kind of sort of became part-time coyotes in your car for a while, but it's fine. We can get it back. We're making pretty good money. We'll figure it out. But yeah, that's a hell of a thing. I also wonder if these guys got like recruited or found. Because I would also think you would want somebody nondescript and, like something discreet. And I mean, college football players, I imagine they're big, like you want like a little, like well-to-do looking white lady or something driving your illegal immigrants around in your weird transborder Uber operation. But that's just me. I don't know. I don't know anything about the business of it.
They said they were recruited on Snapchat, which is like if somebody's like paying you $1,000, they found you on Snapchat to drive around somebody you don't know, and like if they're paying them $1,000, whoever the coyote who probably paid protection money to like the Zeta cartel or whatever, is like I'm not getting involved with a cartel for $1,000.
No,
but I guess I'm not a college kid in desperate need of pizza money. So it's a Christian college, obviously. The longtime president is the guy by the name of Len Munsell, and I don't know, no reason to believe the administration of the college is in on this at all. I just think it's funny the milieu that these right-wing psychos are swimming in, where these kids who go to a private right-wing college, their parents are like, these goddamn immigrants, and the kids are like, yeah, they don't even tip even when you give them bottled water. So Lee Munsell he's a hard-right constitutional attorney. He's the founding and former president of the Center for Arizona Policy, an influential conservative advocacy group, and he was the 2006 Republican gubernatorial nominee in Arizona. J.D. Vance just spoke there in July, where he stood before a large American flag and college banners and told the crowd that, quote, more than 10 million illegal aliens have invaded our country under the watch of Kamala Harris. at which point I'm assuming a lot of the kids like, hell yeah, we're making bank, baby. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a hell of a time to be alive. It is kind of a night, it's a sort of a snapshot of American politics as it pertains to the border right now, or whatever. At least there's plenty of people making money off of it. If nothing else, we can sleep at night with taking solace in that fact. All right. Let's get into it. This is Weekly Skews. Producer Laura is with us. As a reminder, producer Matt's out there saving the world. We welcome producer Laura to the fold. We appreciate it. And we got a good show for you tonight. But first, I want to start with some announcements, as always. If you want to see me do stand-up comedy live and in person, and you should want to do that, go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. I'll be in Ohio this weekend. Maybe hit up a Bulldog buffet, have a kitty cat sandwich, something like that, since I'll be in Ohio. I hear that's all the rage there right now. And then I got Bristol, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, and then Missouri, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Wisconsin, Maryland, Philly, Jersey, everywhere in the world coming up. Not literally, but mostly. Well, no, but I'm going to a lot of places the rest of this year. Go to TreyCrowder.com.
Lima, Peru. You got
Azerbaijan. That's probably not how you
Tasmania.
say that. Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, come see me, TreyCrowder.com. Also, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. You go to weeklyskews.com/more, or you can just go to Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. $5 a month get you access to 2 full-length bonus episodes where we cover things that happen in between the main shows or just whatever we want to talk about. We do Q&A sometimes. By the way, mental note, Mark, we need to do another Q&A soon. It's just more of this show. If you like this show, you'll like that because it's just this, but more of it. Get some more Skews in your life and support the show in the process. All right. Now, as for the show tonight, we'll be talking about the second so far of failed assassination of Trump on former President Donald Trump. The
second of so many, probably.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
This one, even dumber than the last. We'll talk about the man at the center of it and the reality surrounding him as much as we can parse it. And also, maybe if we have time, some actually important things happen in this country along the way. But first, we begin with the Daily Dumbass. Laura, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, the deep state for trying to take down RFK Jr. by doing fish lawfare. Listen to this. This is the man himself speaking in Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that nobody knows. This week, I received, right after I endorsed President Trump, I received a letter from the National Marine Fisheries Institute saying that they were investigating me for collecting a whale specimen 20 years ago. It's 15 years past the statute of limitation, but they're opening an investigation. And this is all about the weaponization of our government against political opponents of the party of power.
Of course, he knows what the statute of limitations is for like mutilating an animal corpse or whatever. But yeah, that's why. Also, it's funny to me that there's like fish cops out there or whatever.
Yeah,
of course, investigative agent. Yeah, in the National Wildlife and Fisheries Services or whatever. It's funny. They got a badge.
I love everything about the ritual humiliation of this man, but I also just love that he calls cutting a dead whale's head off with a chainsaw collecting a whale specimen.
Yeah, right.
So you saw the head off of a whale,
yeah,
and you expected no one to even remotely look into it with a chainsaw? Well,
what's funny is they didn't and never would have if he hadn't seen fit to run for, president 15 years, like 20 years later or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, and I feel like that's what happened with so many things with him. He clearly did so much insane shit over the years and did expect to get away with it and did, because that's a country that totally, completely got away with it until he decided to do this for himself. And then all of a sudden now people care and he's having to deal with like a lot of repercussions for actions in bygone years that he thought would never come up again. But that is naive and silly.
As a guy who was accused of sexually assaulting his babysitter, and his response was, "Well, po body's nerfect," and like So the idea that so these people will blame the deep. He was sitting next to Tulsi Gabbard, who talked about recently, was like talking about basically making the same accusation against the Biden administration for harassing her after endorsing Trump because some air marshals followed her around an airport for a little bit. And these people want to be oppressed so fucking bad. They'll blame the deep state for everything. It's like the deep state made my dick not work. They made there be a line at the post office. Deep state unplugged my PlayStation controller while I was about to beat Call of Duty. It's like there's not like. Think for a second, contextually here, about being a Kennedy, who, if you believe the conspiracy theories like he does, thinks the deep state thought enough of his family to assassinate his father and uncle by shooting them, and he's not important enough to do that to. They just send like a park ranger to send him a letter,
Right?
and he thinks it's the same fucking thing.
Right.
Like, how humiliating is this?
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but he seems to be lacking in some amount of self-awareness, so he might be doing okay with it. But yeah, it's funny to me to think that there's like him being like, well, why did this never come up before now? It was in a magazine or whatever, but it's like, again, there's scrutiny now, and maybe I'm wrong, but I imagine this chief fish agent at the fisheries agency is probably not like got a huge backlog of cases, I would think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm saying something comes up, he's going to jump all over it, dude. It's the first time the phone's rang in years. He got a fish crime. Whales are not fish. He's got a marine crime to investigate. Finally, this is what all his training was for. You know, he's going to pour himself into this. Of course he is. It's human nature. It's not deep state politics.
It's also like a trope in like cop shows and movies where they always have the one case they couldn't solve that gnaws on them until the day they die. And like,
yeah,
maybe...
and he's two of those. The other one was the bear thing, the dead bear in Central Park. That some cop has had like a cork board with red string in his basement for more than a decade with pictures of a dead bear and like cyclists and Central Park signs and stuff. But he's been like taking showers with his head against the wall and drinking way too much whiskey. His wife left him. He's gotten divorced. His whole life has fallen apart because he could not crack this thing. And then all these years later, RFK Jr. just tells Roseanne on the internet, yeah, there's one time I took this dead bear to Central Park.
Yeah. So I don't know who runs the Marine Wildlife Agency, but imagine the same guy. 20 years later, he's worked himself up to be the guy who runs it. And then this article gets brought up about where his daughter talks about the time her dad cut a whale's head off with a chainsaw. He's like, God fucking damn it, I knew it. And he's like, I can't pass the statute of limitations, but I'm going to send this motherfucker a letter and let him know that I got him. I got him.
Strongly worded letter, I imagine. Let's not let that be unsaid. I imagine it was very strongly worded indeed.
We need a better class of conspiracy theorists. I'm so sick of these lazy motherfuckers who don't even have like a well thought out like plan or like understanding of anything. It's just like, well, Joe Biden wanted to take me down, so he heard I cut a whale's head off, and now they're bugging me about cutting the whale's head off.
Right.
Jesus Christ. He didn't even deny it.
No, right. Okay. I mean, yeah, like it would have. I don't know. It's insane, but everything's insane right now. So. With that said,
speaking of which,
most recent insanity, yes.
Yeah, I want to leave some room to talk about this one because there's a lot going on with it. And so before we talk about the actual assassination attempt, or the assassination attempt that didn't happen, which is important part of the story is that the bad guy didn't get off a single shot or even get to look at Donald Trump. So that's just whatever. Here's J.D. Vance talking about this today in a manner that blew my fucking mind. All right.
By the way, with close to 500 patriots in the state of Michigan in this building right now and outside, I'd like to see an assassin try to come in this room. They come to the wrong place if you try to walk into this place right now.
All right, you can cut it, Laura. So, would I get visited by the Secret Service if I said I agree with J.D. Vance and I wish for the same thing?
It's funny to me that, like, well, first of all, I know when he's outside, he has like plexiglass around him or bulletproof glass around him or whatever, because I've seen multiple pictures of him doing that. But also, it's like, I cannot believe he genuinely believes that anyone cares enough about him to either try to assassinate him or protect him in the event that someone tries to assassinate him. You know what I mean? It's like, you ain't Trump, dog. Like, even the response he got to that, he got a little bit, but it was delayed, and it wasn't that, not overwhelming or anything. Like, he's just even in MAGA world, I don't think that he's really rallying the troops very effectively or whatever. It's like, buddy, don't worry, you'll be fine.
But yeah, that reminded me of a comedian by the name of Trevor Moore, rest in peace, very funny. He was in the sketch group Whitest Kids You Know, if you've ever seen their TV show.
Very
I
funny.
worked with him on a couple of different projects, and he's very, very, very funny. And Whitest Kids You Know had this sketch where he played a newscaster where he was like, somebody should kill the president. It's a thing that it's illegal to say.
Right.
For example, you should never say, someone should kill the president. Like, you're trying
Right.
to, like, and
Even-
like,
Even you doing that right now, in my head, I'm like, oh, fuck, are we going to get... Even you
Yeah.
quoting the sketch that's about that exact thing, I'm still sitting there like, is the Secret
Yeah.
Service's algorithm or AI going to flag that? And we're going to get
Hey,
a goddamn
look.
email that's going to get taken down or something? Who knows?
I'm just reporting what JD Vance said, and you decide. JD Vance said he wishes an assassin would come in a room with him. I'm telling you what he said. All right.
Right.
So, but you texted me this morning, and you were like, "What are we going to talk about in the show today?" And I was like, "I think the assassin, the weird non-assassination attempt or whatever." And you're like, "Yeah, there's that. There's like," and you listed like 10 other like completely frivolous things that are the national political discourse right now. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like frivolous, dumb bullshit that doesn't matter and that no one cares about, but apparently they've decided to force it to be the conversation." So I wanted to go through a list of stories that the election's not going to be about, apparently. Or they don't want it to be about, I guess. This is probably something I just care about in our current Black Mirror universe, but Snapchat apparently says it reserves the right to use AI-generated images of your face in ads for you. So basically, unless you opt out of it, they will take your Snapchats and make ads of Trey Crowder on Trey Crowder's feed saying, "Hey, Trey, we should buy this."
Right.
I think-
yeah. So ads targeted at you. So it's like a shirt that they think you'll like that they put your head on. It's you wearing the shirt so you can
Right.
see it. And they're like, you should buy this shirt. Yeah.
And if Snapchat's doing that, everybody's going to be doing
Sure.
that. And I think this is just the world we're opting in for ourselves right now, this dystopian
Yeah.
fucking hellscape where you don't even own your own face. And nobody's going to do anything about this for a while at least until, like, I'm not sure, until they start making porno videos of politicians.
Dude, a lot of people will just think that's cool. I bet you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, look at that. They got my face on that thing. It's one of those things. It's like just free of all context. It sounds just neat. Oh, it's neat. They can do that. But when you think about like the broader implications of what technology is and what it's being used for, you
Yeah.
know, in our timeline, it makes
What if they-
alarming.
What if they use your face to endorse, like,
Right.
They make a video of Trey Crowder endorsing JD Vance for president
Right.
in 2028 with your face, and it's like,
Right.
you didn't get paid, they got paid, but they have an opt-out function where the terms and services said they own your face. So,
Yeah.
like, no one's thought through the implications of this stuff, and no one's going to, I guess. We're just going to live through this and whatever. So, another story. Just today, a Trump judge in Texas granted an injunction in favor of a company that's arguing that the National Labor Review Board is unconstitutional. He cited a recent Supreme Court decision in a case called Jerksey, which is complete bullshit about how everyone who gets found with the SEC is entitled to a jury trial. Just an important reminder that no matter who wins this November, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and the people who work, the district court judges under them, have decided they are all equal co-presidents no matter who's elected. So unless we do something to change that, nothing's ever going to change or get better. So Kamala has signaled she's open to court packing, and she supports Biden's plan for court reform, which includes term limits. But we got to have a Democratic Senate with probably 60 votes to pass that.
Right, I know. That's the thing that's so discouraging about all of that. When you think just the sheer importance of the Supreme Court and the court systems in general and the amount of damage Trump has already done and will continue to do whether he wins or not through his like judicial appointments, and knowing the way things work in this country, the reality of it's like, no, we have some options. Here's what we can do. And that any of those options we could do will be incredibly difficult to actually pull off with the way American politics works. Like you said, you need like a huge majority to make any of that shit actually happen. And as long as you don't make it happen, they're always going to be there flaunting their corrupt nature in front of the American public while setting us back 50 years and fucking everything over. And, you know, what can we really do about that? Like,
Right. And
it sucks.
another thing they don't want to talk about, which they talk about this dumb bullshit, is the stuff the courts have done to the women of America. Here's a story from ProPublica from a couple days ago. Abortion bans have delayed emergency medical care. In Georgia, experts say this mother's death was preventable. Basically, they got a hold of... there's a committee in Georgia that's set up to examine the effects of the impact of like overturning Roe, and it takes them so long to investigate a case that they're just now getting to the first ones. And basically the first set they look at, they found 2, like, yep, these are definitely just state murder. This story is about a woman named, a singer mom by the name of Amber Nicole Thurman, who was 28 years old and healthy. She'd taken abortion pills and it got a rare complication where she didn't expel all the fetal tissue and she needed a dilation and curettage procedure. I hope I'm saying that correctly, colloquially called a DNC. Doctors wouldn't operate on her because they're afraid of going to jail. It took 20 hours for doctors to finally operate. By then it was too late. She's dead. Her kid's an orphan. Yeah, so the elections, Kamala did talk about this article in an interview on MSNBC today. Hopefully people care about actual fucking issues.
Right.
Because
yeah. No, this is one of those things you wonder, like, I mean, you explained it, like, why haven't we? Because at first, when Roe got overturned and everything, people were like, no, people are going to die, you know? And it's like, I think a lot of people here, they're sort of in the middle or don't engage that much or whatever. They hear that and they're like, okay, pump the brakes, like calm it down a little bit. But it's like, no, people are literally not just going to die. They have died. And now because of the glacial pace of bureaucracy or whatever, they're just now getting to reviewing these cases from when it actually happened. And they're, you know, shocker, uncovering very preventable deaths of young people. This woman was 28 years old and otherwise completely healthy. 28. So I mean, yeah, like women are literally dying because of what happened with the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade. So,
and a lot of medical professionals are doing their best under this fucking regime. But they don't want to go to prison, right? So, like right now in Louisiana, it's this really depressing story the Washington Post had today. Louisiana has a law going into effect October 1st. It basically says that drugs used for abortions, miscarriages, and postpartum hemorrhaging will have to be kept as newly categorized controlled substances. So basically, you have to keep them locked up with the really, really serious drugs. So the doctors and nurses are doing time drills, practicing sprinting from patient rooms to locked medicine closets. They got nurses running suicides like we did in gym class, trying to be able to get to the cabinet with the life-saving medicine.
That's like they're doing that, and my kids do active shooter drills at school and stuff, and they've got active shooter like packs, you know, in the office that they have in case that happens, whatever. And like that, those two things combined, it's like this is one of the Americas that one of the two parties wants, you know what I mean, and is achieving. Like this is what one of them looks like. Now, I just don't understand how a sane person can look at that. And I guess with this one in particular, I guess their thing is just like, well, you know, if that's what it takes to keep babies from being killed, then whatever, I'm okay with that. But I just can't imagine that mentality, especially considering, as it's been pointed out a million times, that there's tons of actual living, already born babies out there that those same people don't give a fuck about, whether they live or die. So, you know, you can miss me with all that.
Yeah. Instead, what we got to do is we got nurses like trained like it's a Rocky montage to try to be able to get to a cabinet. So talk about how the way people want it. I want to note here that as stupid as this fucking assassination attempt is, before we get into it, this is the world, absolutely the world they want. And it's like the guy basically didn't do anything illegal, and he came within a couple hundred yards of killing Trump. All right, so this guy named Ryan Ruth, he hid in some bushes next to Mar-a-Lago, and that's the golf course, with an SKS, which is like, if you're not into guns, it's like the precursor to AK-47. It's like the semi-automatic version before they invented the AK. Okay, and he had an SKS and a GoPro. He never had a line of sight to Trump. A Secret Service agent who was walking in advance of Trump, going from hole to hole, saw a gun barrel sticking out of the bushes, popped off a couple shots at him. He ran away, was arrested without incident at a traffic stop 50 miles away, after the Secret Service found some Facebook post with his phone number in it where he said he was going to do this, and they just tracked his phone and found him. All right. So basically, this is a story. The headlines just be a guy walked around with a gun in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, I literally, like, all jokes aside, when I first saw the news breaking, whatever, and it said shots fired at Mar-a-Lago Golf Course, and then it said the only shots fired were by the Secret Service, whatever, I'm not kidding. In my head, I was like, well, that could have been just some dude in Florida with a gun, right? Like, like what's, flip a coin when you run into a guy in Florida, whether he's got a gun or not, you know what I mean? It's 50-50 at best. But that's not, this dude wasn't that, but that genuinely did cross my mind. It was like, because that's how prevalent guns are in this country. I was like, well, just because he had a gun in public, that don't necessarily mean anything in this country. No. Because again, like you said, that's the country that they want. And like, that's true. You know, people like, there just be guns all over the place.
It's like pretty telling because he was arraigned and he was sorry, he's not quite arraigned yet, but he was charged with was 2 counts: possession of a firearm while being a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. So if he hadn't been a felon and he hadn't scratched the serial number off the SKS, he wouldn't have been committing a crime.
Right.
He would have been a guy in the bushes with a gun. And I guess we got to wait for him to shoot Donald Trump before he did anything illegal.
Right.
And like these felony charge, I don't know his entire felony record, but he was very well known to cops in North Carolina. He had a standoff with cops where he ended up being charged with possession of a weapon of mass destruction because he had a full out machine gun. And like the cops in Greensboro were like, "Oh yeah, we know that guy. We're surprised he's still alive."
I'm surprised that he's out walking around and also heavily armed because the stuff I read said whether it's full blown arrest or arraignments or whatever, but he had like 100 different run-ins with the law or something like that over the years, many of which were specifically related to guns, including, like you just said, he like locks himself in a room and takes himself hostage while with high-powered weapons, and he's done that. He's had other weapons charges too, and it's like, okay, he's a felon. He had a punch card for weapons charges, basically, that he done maxed out. He shouldn't be able to have a gun, but he still does, and it didn't really cause him much trouble at all, you know, which is still a problem. But it's also just like, it's insane to me that a man, even a 58-year-old man, can have that many incidents and be just like able to just walk around and procure an illegal weapon and do any of this shit. Like it's just wild to me. You'd think that at some point they'd be like, we should probably do something with him. You know,
I'm assuming we're going to find out this guy's concrete motives because he's still alive and someone will be able to talk to him eventually. Like, I'm sure his defense lawyer is going to make a case for him being insane or whatever. But
he sounds it.
He does. I'm guessing his motives are he's like a COVID denier guy. And remember, Trump was in charge of the vaccine program. So I think that he was in charge during the first round of COVID lockdowns when he was in favor of them. So that's might be a factor. But he's also a super hardcore pro-Ukraine guy, which we'll get to in a little bit. He thinks of himself as that. He thinks of himself as a giant hero saving Ukraine. Let me quote here from an article. Roos's motives are not yet known. His politics were clearly variable. At various points, he supported the presidential candidacies of Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. He was a Trump voter in 2016. He's a big Tulsi Gabbard fan in 2020. And this election cycle, he wanted the Republican ticket to be Vivek Ramaswamy and
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley, yeah. So, but there's also, because we live in this universe, there's a bunch of bullshit floating around. Like MAGA people are making fake Instagram accounts, including one that has a bio that says, proud to be a LGBTQ plus member, proud Dem, don't follow if you're a MAGA. Okay, woo, get him, sister. So, he's just a fucking weirdo. He had a book.
Of course he is. They almost always are. I mean, unless we get to a point where it's like, there's an actual defined some kind of op or conspiracy theory thing that does happen, and it really is some ex-special forces guy who's deep undercover or some crazy shit like that. Barring that, almost by necessity, it's always going to be some kind of like lone gun nut weirdo. It's always going to be a weirdo because of the nature of what the thing is. If you're not that type of person, you ain't going to do some shit like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, so it's like anytime it happens, they're like, you know, this is about to be transgender antifa, right? Or whatever. I'm sure people have already been transvestigating him up and down and everything.
Oh, yeah,
and it's
sure.
like, but it's like, no, it's an unhinged, unstable, disgruntled, white male gun nut. That's what it is. It's what it fucking always is every time.
Yeah, like, so he wrote a book it was on Amazon. Imagine they took it down by now, but like he wrote a book urging Iran to assassinate Trump, which Iran's been trying to, like, it's been public that the government thinks that Iran's trying to coordinate the assassination of Trump, all right? So they didn't need this guy's permission, but he gave it to them. He wrote, literally, quote, "You are free to assassinate Trump." Thanks, Ryan Ruth, Iran says, I guess.
See, we were just talking earlier about how, like, I don't even know if we could quote this comedy bit and talking about this type of thing. Who knows? We might get a call from the Secret Service. This dude wrote a whole book, a book that he published himself, literally calling for the assassination of Trump. And then later barely got apprehended before being able to take a shot at Donald Trump. So, you know, I don't know, man. Maybe I imagine it's a deluge now. I figure like during many presidencies, the Secret Service probably doesn't have as many of those things to deal with, you know, like those types of someone on a podcast said a thing. But in the Trump era, they got to be overwhelmed with a bunch of them. But still, this motherfucker wrote a whole book and had 100 gun charges and whatnot. You'd think he would have come up before.
Yeah. He wrote that the book was called Ukraine's Unwinnable War and described Trump as, quote, a fool and a buffoon for both January 6th and the tremendous blunder of leaving the Iran nuclear deal. Yeah, I got to be honest. He's spitting on this stuff.
He's spitting, yeah.
He wrote, he said that he voted for Trump and must take part of the blame for, quote, the child you elected for our next president that ended up being brainless. Okay, still spitting. I get tired of people asking me if I'm Democrat or Republican as I refuse to be put in a category. And he said the world would be better if it were run by women. So he's an ally, guys. He's an ally.
This guy's wild. Again, you know, of course he is. Of course he is. It takes all kinds. It's like, you know, I mean, I haven't ever read the whole thing, but I've seen excerpts from it. You know, like the Unabomber and his big manifesto he had, there's some parts in there where, you know, he's making some sense. But he's mostly a homicidal lunatic.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really, they're 80% right. It's really the 20% with the murder and stuff.
The problem. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So earlier this year, a big read quote here, he even tweeted at singers Bruno Mars and Dave Matthews to organize a We Are the World style effort for Kyiv. We need an emotional tribute song for Ukraine as support stalls, he wrote. I have lyrics and music. So
that Colorado football coach is like, see, this guy gets it. That's initiative. That's the can-do attitude that you need right there. You cold call people. You take your shot. You do what you got to do, you know, and sometimes it works. Hey.
So imagine Bruno Mars got like DM'd him back. It's like, hey, what you got, bro? He's like, it's a great song. You're going to love it. It's going to save the world. It's called Ukraine Funk. Gonna give it to you. And if you don't like that, I got locked out of Crimea. That's what we're going to do. So he also tweeted at Dennis Rodman asking for help lifting sanctions against North Korea to ease tension with that country. Like, think about this collection of talent. You got Bruno Mars, Dave Matthews, Dennis Rodman. He's like, I'm putting together a team. All right. This is like not this is a mismatch. This is like the cast of Celebrity Big Brother in like 2035. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like I don't even understand. Anyway, this is completely silly shit. To me, the proper weight to give this story is like 4 or 5 times a year there'll be a story that's like some lunatic hopped the fence of the White House with a gun and got tackled by the Secret Service. That's all clear. Right. That's like what this is.
Well, that's the thing. I know the Secret Service is under a whole lot of scrutiny right now or whatever, but to me, it's like when I hear this, being ignorant about the whole process the way I am, I'm like, okay, so I mean, what happened is what was supposed to happen happened. They had a Secret Service agent like patrolling in advance, and he saw the guy, and it got stopped, and so really nothing happened. And the other thing I'll say about it is I was at a sports bar in Lansing, Michigan on Sunday watching the football games, and this came up on all the screen. A bunch of different games were on, but every screen had a red ticker across the bottom, breaking news, shots fired at Mar-a-Lago or whatever. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, Jesus, because I had been at a different sports bar on Saturday watching college football, as you do, in suburban Michigan, and it was a lot of Trump hats around, right? Like I saw children in Trump hats, right? Swing state, looking good. But anyway, so in my head, when this pops up, I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be here for whatever's about to happen. I thought it was going to get weird, right? Literally, no acknowledgement, no response from anybody in that bar at all. No one was like, what the fuck? What is it? Like, everybody was just like, what are the Cowboys doing? Sorry, Mark. But yeah, that's all it was. Like, literally no one even reacted to the ticker about, you know, someone else wanting to take a shot at Trump or whatever. Like, nobody even cares.
They're so mad nobody cares.
Right.
But like, we live in a universe where there's like mass shootings every fucking day.
It's their fault. Nobody cares. In every way, it's their fault. Nobody cares. Like you said, this is the world they want. That's why all the mass shootings happen. So that's why no one cares about gun violence anymore. But also, Trump's whole thing has always been a deluge of endless scandals and bullshit constantly coming out. So you don't have any time to care about any given one of them. And it's like, that's all this is. It's like, we can't, we're all like numb to Trump bullshit at this point. And that goes both ways. You want people to care about poor, pitiful you getting shot at, but people are unable to give a fuck about anything involving you anymore at this point because of the way you be and have been for 8+ goddamn years now. So yeah.
There's a phrase, I can't remember which writer coined it, but amnetizing the eschaton, meaning like always making imminent the end of the world. Like every Trump sentence makes it sound like we don't do X, the sun's not coming up tomorrow. Right? It's been like that for 9 years, and people don't believe it, even when it's somebody trying to shoot him. So I don't know what they want, but anyway, with all this nothing happening to him, it's a good thing God is on his side. Let's watch this video clip from Fox News.
I mean, but for that agent and the grace of God, again, 2 miracles now in 2 months.
Wow. Somebody's looking out for the former president.
That's exactly what the speaker told him. This is a divine intervention here for a higher cause. But
well, we look.
I mean, but for that agent and the grace of God, again.
So the grace of God here is this moron with no military training did not know how to set up a sniper's nest and had the barrel of his gun sticking out of a fucking bush. All right. That's what saved his. That's what. Not that the guy would have hit him, because I don't think he probably sucks at everything, but like that's what happened here. And thank you God for protecting Donald Trump from the nothing that fucking happened to him. Right. Also, like, if I almost died as much as Trump did, between COVID almost killing him, 2 or 3 recent like plane like malfunctions, we had to do emergency landings, 2 separate. I would think God was out to fucking get me.
Right.
So, like, what are you thanking God for, bro? I think you're being Final Destination.
Yeah. Well, he should. I mean, I don't know about the Lord, but he ought not be surprised that something or well, I don't mean the deep state. He's got a lot of enemies. A lot of people hate him. I was about to say he shouldn't be surprised that somebody's out to get him, but I don't want to make that sound conspiratorial. I just mean that, like, he's one of the most reviled people on earth. Like Bart. I mean, probably. He's the most reviled, and I know he's got his own cult of personality, but still, when you consider it worldwide, he's probably the most hated man alive, I would think, literally. So, like, you can't be surprised that people be wanting to kill you, dog. Like, I don't, like, of course.
The people we know about, I was trying to make a list of the people that have, like, that would want Trump dead. There's, like, the business associates who, whatever international shit crooked international finance shit he's been doing, wouldn't want him as a witness. You got Iran, we know, is trying to kill him. Among his own supporters, like, you got the fact he rolled out the COVID vaccine, he didn't build the wall, right? The QAnon people got to be getting frustrated at this point that all the stuff they've been predicting will come true hasn't, so obviously he might be in on it. He didn't appoint JFK Jr., his running mate, as they were promised, right? So, like, even just among his own supporters, there are a bunch of people that have a fucking reason to kill him. But, like, besides wanting gun control specifically within a 2-mile radius of Donald Trump, they seem to like you get these bouts of like, this kind of violence is unacceptable in America. Let's talk about a kind of violence that apparently is acceptable in America, because the shit's still going on in Springfield, like in both Colorado. There's a stupid story. I didn't even plan on getting into this, but like, a woman in Colorado saw some Hispanic people having a cookout, a car club meetup in a park. Called the sheriff's department, said they were having a Venezuelan gang had taken over a park. The sheriff's department went and checked it out. It was a bunch of Mexican people having a cookout. There was like a Mexican flag off one of their cars. Everything she said about them shooting guns in the air, setting a park, starting a fire was absolute bullshit. So nothing happened. But this woman's like tweeting at Lauren Boebert. She'll be hearing about Lauren Boebert say this is definitely true, because pretty soon. So people just like their effort to get people killed.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, that's what you said. This type of violence is unacceptable, no matter how you feel. They talk about the rhetoric. Like this is because of the left's the rhetoric of the left has demonized us and Trump so much that this is what happens. People do this, and then as you're about to get into all the shit that goes on, all the shootings, that shit you just said in Colorado, everything that's happening in Springfield, all stuff that's like a direct result of their rhetoric. Plus, even the left's rhetoric that they're talking about is literally just the left, like, quoting Donald Trump directly and acknowledging that it's insane. Like, even the stuff they say is extreme coming from the left is literally just the left being like, this is extreme, what they're saying, and we are alarmed by that.
Dude, somebody was on Fox News today saying like, well, they're trying to get him killed because they're saying he wants to be a dictator on day one. Motherfucker, that's a direct quote.
He said exactly right. It's direct quotes. Anyway, keep going.
Springfield, Ohio, so far, at least 21 different government facilities have had bomb threats. They had to. That doesn't count. They canceled a culture fest because of general fears about violence. Just the pure. I'm not sure it counts as irony or poetry that they're canceling a festival that's supposed to like celebrate diversity, which is like one of those things is booths set up so white people can walk around and buy jewelry and trinkets and eat tacos. A college in Springfield called Wittenberg University, a small little D3 school, had to cancel all their sporting events because they're afraid of somebody showing up and shooting up the school. This is a private Lutheran school that's 70% white. The actor James Rebhorn went there. So good job with James Rebhorn, big fan. People in the town.
So correct me if I'm wrong. It's like the idea here is that they're in this big inundation of threats of violence, bomb threats, and things like that. It's causing things to shut down. Schools are shut down. Hospitals are shut down. All this stuff, and it's the idea is that from the domestic terrorists on the calling end of these calls and everybody, they're like you try to make it untenable to keep the immigrants in town, sort of, meaning like it's like almost like punishing the town for having these immigrants in it, kind of. Like, everything is going to suck for you until you acknowledge the sin of until you run these people out of town, basically. Like,
I'm not sure what they want. I guess they want the Biden administration to deport the Haitians, but like, so anyway, on the ground, I saw an interview with like people that live there who are just trying to go about their day, and like they got Nazis marching in the streets, the Klans handing out flyers, and maybe even worse, they have YouTubers there doing live streams all day, every day. I'm pretty sure at this point, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have directly caused more issues for the citizens of Springfield than any immigrant ever has. The ironic thing here is like the Republican defense of the fact that that all these bomb threats are happening at the same time they're talking all this crazy shit is that Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, said that a lot of the bomb threats are coming from outside the country. So their defense is it's Russia doing it, which is probably true.
I'm about to say that's probably at least partially true, but it's still like
But they're doing it to help you.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're still doing it basically on your behalf, whether you personally ordered it up or not. Like it, they fight for y'all.
And so so we're talking about the issues they don't want to talk about. They want this to be the thing everybody talks about. Laura Loomer, Trump's, if the internet is to believe, his new mouth girlfriend, is she posted on X, how was Ryan Ruth, a convicted felon, able to fly from Hawaii to Florida and obtain an this is incorrect, but she said AK-47 with an obliterated serial number, and then to get within 300 yards of President Trump. Because this is the society you guys fucking wanted, man.
It's a good question.
In the 2 months that have passed between the attempts on Trump's life, the first guy at least kind of got a shot off. In that time, 82 Americans have died in mass shootings. And many, many more have died in solo shootings and suicides by guns. And we're just supposed to care about the people you care about getting shot? And, I don't even know what the fuck to do with this. It's just Christ. So this is morphed into, a meta debate about heated political rhetoric, which just makes me fucking... J.D. Vance said some out-and-out Nazi shit during a rally today. And also, in between there, said the Democrats should tone down their rhetoric. Byron Donalds said that the Harris campaign should pull off any ads that mention Project 2025 in swing states, because that's what's causing the people trying to kill Donald Trump. I'm like, they're just quoting your fucking political agenda? That's literally just basic First Amendment political speech. I don't know what you want, all right? But I wanted to show this clip of Tim Scott because this is an insane two-step that he does here. And I just want to, listen closely.
But their rhetoric, it's not just over the top. It is potentially deadly. We need to see it toned down, starting on the left. I've already heard it from our side. Every one of us wants to focus on the issues, but every single time we see another attempt against President Trump, you got to ask yourself, is there a plot? 2 assassination attempts in 6 weeks?
We got to tone down the rhetoric. Also, the Biden administration has done a deep state coup and is trying to kill Donald Trump.
Plotting to kill Donald Trump. Right, exactly. Right. Yeah, I know, man. That's what I was saying. It's the sheer audacity of it, like boggles my mind, but it shouldn't, because they've been like this for a long time, but they only get bolder and bolder with this type of shit. But it's truly insane that, they tell the majority of the rhetoric on the left is being concerned about the insane shit they say. And then their response to that is like, well, you guys need to chill that out because it's pissing people off. It's like, it's not, people are not like, people don't think you're crazy. And I said this in a video I made today, but like, people don't think you're crazy because we say it. People think you're crazy because all the crazy shit you do and say that we're just relaying. Like, it's not the same thing. It's nuts.
Yeah. So Trump immediately, of course, sent a fundraising email, first thing he did, and said, there are people in this world who do whatever it takes to stop us. I will never surrender. It's like, buddy, you were playing golf. You played golf the next day, too. The next day, you did a Twitter Spaces interview about cryptocurrency. Why should we care more than you do, right? He also said, quote, the shooter, quote, believed the rhetoric of Biden and Harris and acted on it. The rhetoric is causing me to be shot at. I'm the one who's going to save the country. Bro, the only thing Biden and Harris's rhetoric makes you want to kill in general is half a bottle of vodka. All right? So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But in the guise of like talking about this, he called her Comrade Kamala. Like, so who's, like, you're calling her a like, I don't think anyone would or should try to kill Kamala, even if she was a communist, but, like, what are you trying to do? Elon Musk had quite possibly the funniest response to this. He quote, made a joke, I guess, air quote joke. He said it was a joke that he deleted. Basically, it's curious that no one's trying to kill Biden or Harris. It's like, people took that as him trying to get inside a death threat against them, but I think he thinks that, like, if there wasn't a conspiracy, that assassination attempts should be equally distributed. Like, his brain thinks that, like, if you flip a quarter the first time it comes up heads, the next time it has to come up tails or you're cheating.
Right.
That's not how anything works.
No, he's really batting 1,000 on insane Twitter reactions to things recently. Between that and like telling Taylor Swift he would give her a child and protect her cat or whatever. Like, he's really been on one lately, which is saying something for him.
For what it's worth, a guy was recently arrested for plotting to kill Kamala Harris, and another guy is in the middle of doing 25 years for trying to kill Obama. Like, this does happen. People just don't fucking cry about it because it's a big country with a lot of lunatics and a lot of guns. And there's really no point in making a big deal about it unless you're fucking dishonest, all right? So it is worth thinking about why Donald Trump has been the target of two of these and probably more. Part of it, it's sort of like a cosmic justice for making himself the center of every public controversy and like scandal for the last, like, some of them he didn't have to be in. Like, he just weighs in on every fucking thing to make everybody hate him. He tweeted, "I hate Taylor Swift" this weekend, or truth. Like, bro, you know how crazy the Swifties are? If one of them picks up a gun and tries to shoot you, like, you're not going to be totally, like, you didn't have to do that. Nobody asked you to weigh in on fucking Taylor Swift.
That's what I was saying earlier, dude. It's like he's went out of his way to make such a huge percentage of mankind hate him so much, and he still does it purposefully every day, including most recently with the Swifties. And it's like, what do you think is going to happen? Like,
he's also, I think people would phrase it as he's the leader of a movement, but it's not really true. He's the center of a movement. He kind of goes, he's in the middle of a pack, and he kind of goes where they lead him, right? Which means he has a bunch of people on either side of MAGA that disagree with him about random bullshit. Which is why, like, 1 week the Groypers, the Nazis will be mad at him because he says something nice about Israel, and the next week yada yada. But like, it's a movement that is encouraged to own guns specifically to kill politicians and overthrow the government. So, like, what the fuck what do you expect? If you were trying to get assassinated, you do all the shit Trump was doing about from his own supporters. It's also like, golf is an important part of this here. Because, like, part of the reason I think it's a conspiracy is, like, there's been speculation about how Ruth could have known that Trump would be playing golf on a Sunday afternoon. He plays golf every fucking...
I'd say you can't even get that out of your mouth without me scoffing at it. He spent 60% of his goddamn actual presidency playing golf. It's a golf course. Just anyone saying with a straight face, how could this man have possibly known that Trump would be at a golf course at Mar-a-Lago on a Sunday afternoon? It's like, wonders never cease. I don't know. I'd sooner lasso the moon than solve that conundrum. How could anyone possibly parse that? It's like, it's a fucking you know, it's a matter of odds. Like they said, he was camped out there for like 12 hours or something.
Yeah.
That's probably about enough. You just go there, you just sit there for a while. He will show up eventually.
And we don't know if he was there the previous day for 12 hours and the previous day for 12 hours. We know he's just sitting there for 12 hours that day, pissing in bottles, waiting for Trump to show up. Like he might have just been, you know, had been mission oriented, right?
It's the least weird and most obvious thing about this whole deal, as far as I'm concerned. So people being like, his schedule wasn't public. How could anyone know that? It's like that. I can't imagine anything dumber than that. Like my 11-year-old could guess that about Donald Trump. But anyway.
Just put up an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet in Mar-a-Lago and poison it. He'll come by and die. Like he's not super hard to kill. All right. So speaking of golf, all right, not to defend the Secret Service here, but like he seems like an impossible protectee. This could be construed as ass covering from the Secret Service, but like suppose the Washington Post has this article that says before this, the Secret Service had tried to warn him. They showed him pictures of like long-range photographers like that they had taken of him playing golf and tried to warn him that if he kept being out in public outside that he was making himself an open target. Like this isn't exactly Chris Kyle here. A decent sniper with training who's motivated, Trump probably would have been dead 50 times over. All right. Just luckily no one with the set of skills and the proper motivations and an organized thought process has decided to do this. All right. And then after the shooting, the Secret Service has told Trump that they need to up his security level if he wants to keep playing golf outside. The acting director of the Secret Service went and talked to him personally and said they need to figure it out if he insists on making himself an easy fucking target because he behaves irresponsibly. Like it's not like everything he does. Like I don't know if you've seen the reports. Like Kamala doesn't use Bluetooth earbuds because it's security. That's why if you see her to give an interview, she pulls out the old school earbuds. It's security, right? Trump used his regular personal iPhone his whole presidency. Every conversation he had in the Oval Office was heard by every intelligence agency in the world because he doesn't care. He doesn't try, right? So all right. So what I think the motive for Ruth is going to be, let's get into this because I know we got to get out of here soon, is Ukraine. All right. Here's a video of Ryan Ruth in Ukraine, which he went over to try to recruit Afghan soldiers to be in a Ukrainian Foreign Legion. The whole thing's fucking stupid. Unless maybe we've.
There we go. Producer Laura's working on it. Yeah, he went over to Ukraine for a while to like help the cause. See how that went.
We need 100,000 people here fighting. This square should be filled with thousands of people from every country. We've only got 50 countries represented. We've got 190 countries. So obviously we're missing 140 countries. So that's unacceptable. So every representative.
So the New York Times interviewed him in 2023 for a piece that was titled "Stolen Valor: The U.S. Volunteers in Ukraine Who Lie, Waste, and Bicker," of which he was one of the stars. And they concluded back then he was a nut job and did not accomplish anything in Ukraine. Which, of course, like I'm not sure why Russia hasn't pulled this button. I think they probably will, or unless American conservatives do it for them. Some of them kind of are accusing him of being a Ukrainian asset who wants to kill Trump for, sabotaging Mother Russia or whatever.
Yeah.
So like Edward Snowden made a social media post. They basically compared him to Lee Harvey Oswald, said Congress should investigate, but basically saying he's a patsy, that he was a dupe for Ukrainian intelligence or something. Alex Jones, who has 2.8 Twitter followers since Elon reinstated him after he was banned, said, Ryan Ruth is a total NATO CIA asset and was told where to be today to kill Trump. All right. Reality is too stupid for this. He really did go over to Ukraine and try to join something they call their International Legion. But they have a very specific way to join it. You have to come in through Poland, go through various security protocols and checkpoints. And the reason they do this is try to protect against Russian infiltration, which obviously would be a problem. And he didn't do any of that. He just showed up and said, hi, I'm American. I want to shoot some Russians. And they're like, do you have any military training? He goes, nope. Mm-hmm. But I am going to hide in a bush with my rifle sticking out and try to kill the president with no ability to shoot a gun. And that's where, I don't know. I think this is probably where this is going to end up. I would expect there to be congressional hearings where Republicans accuse Democrats of recruiting Ryan Ruth to assassinate Trump on behalf of Ukrainian intelligence.
Well, see, they couldn't find a better candidate than that. Do you know what I mean? That's what reality is too stupid for this to be true. That's what's the case with so many of these conspiracy theories. It's I don't know. You can't both believe that there's some like large unseen shadow network, Illuminati type deep state hand controlling everything, and also think it's incompetent enough to have it play out this way, right? Like they're just like, they're either exceedingly competent or they're not. And if they were, it wouldn't go this way. And if they were not, or you know what I mean? Otherwise, and if they are that incompetent, then they couldn't do this in the first place. Right. So like, it's just,
it's not, that's where the God stuff comes in. So you got to really believe the deep state's trying to kill him, and it's a deep state versus God, right? Which is like got to be really funny to the people.
Cage match Sunday, loser leaves town. Deep state versus God.
Which is got to be funny to the people that like the old school like hardcore Methodists and Lutherans who went to Harvard and founded the CIA and used to nickname it Christians in Action. So yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what else comes out about this guy in the near future. I'm sure, rest assured, it'll be crazy and silly and dumb and frivolous and all of the above. But we had a bonus Skews episode on the Patreon last week that I actually could not do because of the internet in Detroit at the hotel I was at. So Corey sat in for me. I understand it was a very good time. So check that out. Go to weeklyskews.com/more and sign up and get 2 bonus episodes a month for $5 and support the show in the process. And also, as always, go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. I'll be in Ohio this week and order me some kitty cat, like I said up top. I heard that's the local cuisine now. I'll be in Ohio this weekend and a whole bunch of other places after that throughout the rest of the year and into 2025. Burning the road up. So go to TreyCrowder.com and come and see me. But most importantly, keep watching this here program, and we'll keep doing it every Skews Day